Hi everyone and welcome to Joe Glass Comics. My name is Joe Glass, comics creator extraordinaire of series such as The Pride, The Miracles, Acceptable Losses and Glitter Vipers, with many more stories yet to come. I'm here today to talk about some more comics that I love. This time, however, being a little bit different. I'm not going to be talking about weekly releases that have recently come out in the comic shop. Instead, I'm going to be talking about just a general series that I really love, and also another bit of a difference is it's not a Western comic book series. Instead, I'm going to be talking about My Hero Academia. First thing to point off, I am not a massive manga reader, nor am I particularly a huge anime fan, so I will admit that sometimes my knowledge on these particular aspects and genres and mediums is not the same as some other people, particularly you find on the internet. However, in one respect, I think that is beneficial, how I can speak to you about why I particularly love this particular manga and anime series, and why I think it's something that you too will love and you should absolutely check out. First up, however, what is My Hero Academia? My Hero Academia, or MHA, initially began as a weekly manga series featuring in Weekly Shonen Jump, which started around June 2014. It has been going on pretty much weekly since then and is currently up to like its 300 plus chapter. It is currently in, manga-wise, its final story arc, I believe, or at least the final act of its overall story. So we're kind of coming to the end in the manga of where that story is going. However, there are some reasons I think it's a fantastic thing to jump into now, which I will go into in a little bit, but let's carry on with just what is My Hero Academia. Written and drawn by, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Kohei Horikoshi. It is a series about a world of superhumans where society has become this sort of superhero society, where pretty much 80% of the population has some sort of superhuman ability, also known as a quirk. These quirks can present in any kind of possible way, from something as simple as like a body alteration to being able to just mildly be able to telekinetically lift things towards yourself, to full-on like mega powers on a Superman sort of scale. In particular, the story focuses on a young man named Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya is one of the few quirkless people on the planet and doesn't have a superhuman ability, but is a massive fan of superhumans and particularly superheroes. In this whole superhuman society, heroes and villains have become a common everyday occurrence, very much like from comic books from Western civilizations like America. Generally, a hero is someone who uses their superhuman abilities or quirk to help police matters and help sort of save people and generally do good things. A villain has become the term for anyone who does anything bad with their quirks. The greatest hero, referred to as the symbol of peace in all of Japan and often referred to as being in all the world, is a hero by the name of All Might. All Might is very much modelled on this American idea of a superhero. He's big, he's buff, he's showy and flashy, but he's also this kind of inspirational figure, and that's really awesome. And it's a big thing of why Izuku Midoriya and his friend and rival, well, friend is perhaps not the right term, definitely rival, however, Bakugo, are obsessed with All Might for very different reasons. After a chance encounter sees Midoriya meeting his great hero, he learns the truth behind All Might. But All Might was actually severely injured himself in a battle which has been kept from the public, and actually doesn't have the same level of power as he used to. And moreover, his quirk is not his own. It was passed on to him and he can pass it on to others. And he has decided that Midoriya, after a chance encounter event, which I don't want to spoil too much, occurred, is now to be his successor for his quirk, which is known as One for All. From there, Midoriya gets into the top superhero school, takes on the superhero codename of Deku, and we basically go through the story from there as he meets a bunch of characters who are all training to become superheroes. Now, for fans of my own series, The Pride, you might be thinking, there's a little bit which sounds familiar here. The Pride also takes place in a superhuman society, where superhuman powers have become the norm, and most people have some sort of ability. Similarly, there is actually another similarity between the two series, in that the My Hero Academia series has a character named Shoto, who has ice powers, and it is revealed that he also has heat powers. Obviously, there is a character in The Pride who also has ice powers and who also has heat powers, which was only recently revealed. That is kind of where the similarities end, but like I say, it does speak to a big part of why I actually checked this out. As I stated earlier, I'm not a huge manga reader. In fact, My Hero Academia is the first manga which I've read with any sort of regularity, and I basically more or less read from beginning to end. Obviously it's still going, but like I read it now on a pretty much weekly basis with the exception of its break weeks, and there's kind of a reason for that. I initially started off with just hearing about My Hero Academia a lot. I was actually seeing people cosplaying as it when I was going to Comic Cons, and quite often at Comic Cons I'll see cosplay which I don't know, and when I see that I tend to just go, oh, it's anime, because obviously it's something I don't know, but it's something which is popular because a lot of people are doing it, but like I said, I'm not familiar with the reference. I was obviously seeing a lot of people with particular uniforms or particular superhero costumes, and I was just like, well, this is really weird because it looks anime, but it also kind of looks superhero-y, so like as far as I was aware, like superhero thing wasn't a major thing in anime and manga, so I was a little bit like curious immediately. It then got on to actually following a creator that I'm a big fan of, and that has also been a really great friend, Scott Snyder, who would actually mention it quite often because he'd mention his kids were huge fans of this thing called My Hero Academia. And it got to a point where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna have to check out what it is that young people are really enjoying about this show and why they love it so much. And that prompted me to actually check out the anime of My Hero Academia first. It's currently in its 5th season. At the time I checked it out, it was about 3 seasons in, and to say I became hooked immediately would be an understatement. I voraciously watched this anime from start to what was then the end in the space of about a week and a half. I was absolutely addicted. It is absolutely superb. As I say, there were the similarities to The Pride, which was an initial bit of interest for me, if nothing else because I wanted to make sure that we weren't actually treading on each other's toes, or that I wouldn't be accused of copying My Hero Academia. Ultimately, what I've come to realize is that we may have some similarities, but we are very different books. There is an obvious element that we are completely different. I'm talking about the LGBTQ community in my book, and obviously that is not in My Hero Academia almost at all. There is some, and I will get to that. But what I immediately noticed was that this was a story about heroes and about what it is to become a hero. And it touched on a lot of the same kind of ideas and feelings that I had about heroes, and that I found truly inspiring and that I found truly like entertaining to watch. Horikoshi himself has said that, you know, heroes, and particularly American heroes comics and films, have been an inspiration for My Hero Academia, listing amongst others the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, Star Wars, and the X-Men series. I think the latter is a clear influence on My Hero Academia, and as someone who is obsessed with the X-Men, and that the X-Men was very much what led me into comic books and my love of the comic book medium in the first place, it makes sense then that My Hero Academia would be something that I would thoroughly enjoy. As such, I would say, if nothing else, if you were a fan of the X-Men, you will absolutely adore My Hero Academia, and you should absolutely check it out. As well as the anime show, I would highly recommend checking out the manga. The manga is quite a bit ahead of the anime show at the moment. I would generally say about 2, 3, maybe 4 story arcs ahead, and it's supremely well done, just as the anime show is. So I think it would be well worth checking out both. My Hero Academia can be collected in these awesome little sort of manga books which you can read, which collect about 7 or 8 chapters, I think, generally per book. So you get a big chunk of story. There's something like 30 volumes at the moment. At the moment, like I say, you can also read it via Shonen Jump. You can even use now the Shonen Jump app, which updates weekly and contains thousands and thousands and thousands of entries, not just My Hero Academia, and it's actually the app which I do most of my reading of this particular series on. It also led me to discover several other series that I've become obsessed with and that I really enjoy, and that I probably will talk about in the future. So I would say, yeah, you should check out Shonen Jump's app. It's about a £1.99 subscription a month, $1.99 subscription a month, something like that. So for a crazy low price, you get access to absolutely astronomical values of comics. So check it out, I highly recommend it. As well as awesome, incredible fight scenes and superhero action set pieces, My Hero Academia really does follow the idea and concept of what makes a superhero, or what makes a hero, period, and what is being a hero. I find this really, really fantastic. There are similar things which I go in through some of my series, but also it's is a familiar thread in what I enjoy in superhero comics. So I think it's something which I just particularly gravitate towards. My Hero Academia really is an epic example of that. There's a moment about halfway through the third season, I want to say, maybe the second season of the anime, and also in the books, it's probably around volume 10-ish maybe, which was really such a moving and brilliant idea of what a hero is, and includes like a really moving statement by a hero that it just really struck a chord with me. And I think that's what the show does really well. I think that's why this series is so popular with young people. A lot of folks may just go, it's the bright colors, it's the loud characters, it's the sound effects, it's the action set pieces, it's all this. But My Hero Academia has so much more to its story than just the showy set pieces. There's a deep, thought-provoking, and sometimes even profound story going through it about the very nature of heroism and what it means to be a hero, which I find really compelling. And I think a lot of young readers get that. Not necessarily that they are immediately aware of it or even cognizant that they are hooked on it because of this thing, but that they are loving it because there is this element to it. There is more to it than just a surface story. Anyone who tries to tell you that is all that people want or are missing a trick. Like, people want depth to their stories, and that is something they look for even if they aren't even cognizantly aware of it. And things which have a deeper hook or connection or something to say about life, politics, love, anything like that, people are going to be attracted to and resonate with a lot more. And My Hero Academia does just that. It makes this sort of connection to the very idea of what being a good person and what heroism is. And I think that's something that kids really love, and that most readers, adults as well, would really love. So again, I would say that if you were at all adoring of superhero stories or anything which is about heroism and doing the right thing, or anything like that, My Hero Academia is a series for you. There's obviously also the interest, from my point of view, of LGBTQ characters and representation. I would say if that is something you follow me for and want to hear my opinion of in regards to this particular series, it's hard to say. My general experience with manga and anime, the representation of the LGBTQ community isn't necessarily great. It's quite often using a lot of stereotypes, and particularly stereotypes which in Western cinema and media we have sort of grown past a bit. Not completely, but a bit. And it does kind of employ quite a bit of that in there. Like, there's a character who is very obviously meant to be a gay guy, and he's very stereotypical, but the stereotypes are used in very tropey and not particularly innocent ways. I don't think necessarily it is meant to be offensive to the LGBTQ community, but it can potentially come across that way. Alternatively, however, it's worth mentioning that the series actually contains several trans characters. None of the main characters, they don't appear regularly, but there are characters who are trans in book. Similarly, there are characters who are arguably coded to be gay or LGBTQ in some way, which aren't necessarily offensive. And there is recently the discussion about one character might have just come out as bisexual. I'm not sure I read it that way. Given the language that the characters tend to speak in this particular series, I just took it to mean that the character just sort of looks up to the character he's speaking to, but it could be read as a declaration of romantic feelings, and if it is, that would be awesome. However, like I say, if you are a big fan of shipping, there are some fantastic ships in My Hero Academia for you to get aboard. So if your big thing is the great romantic fan fictions, then My Hero Academia might be something you should check out, because I think there's plenty for you to fall in love with in that regard as well. As a whole, with My Hero Academia, I think the series speaks a lot to what it is that classically make people fall in love with superheroes. It's very much a thing which I think a lot of Western superhero comic book writers should be checking out and should be reading, because I think there are even tricks that we've kind of forgotten, I think, in Western culture when writing about superheroes and heroism and things like that, which are actually being brought up in brilliant ways in My Hero Academia. Kohei Horikoshi is telling an absolutely amazing story. It's truly brilliant. As I say, it's kind of in its final act now, but there has never been a better time to jump on. Similarly, the series is about 5 seasons in, which means it's about halfway through the story as a whole of the manga. Plus, they've actually been extra movies which add extra story. So I would say check out the series too. It's incredibly well done, it's brilliantly animated, and the voice acting is superb. My Hero Academia is an absolutely incredible series with brilliant fight sequences, amazing action set pieces, and a brilliant and moving treatise on what it is to be a hero. So I would say check out My Hero Academia. It is one of the comics I love, and you would absolutely love it too. And so that's it with this episode. I absolutely adore My Hero Academia, and I think you will too, so please do let me know if you go check it out. Feel free to check out my work as well. I'll put links in the description below, as well as links to some of the apps which I've mentioned where you can actually read a lot of these manga. Let me know if there's any series or comics that you love and that maybe you'd be interested in me checking out, and I can check them out and see, let you know what I think maybe. Again, just comment below, like and subscribe to never miss an update from Joe Glass Comics. I've been Joe Glass, it's been fantastic speaking with you, and I'll see you again soon.